Today, we are digging into one of the most interesting and honestly, one of the wildest stories on the market right now, CORZ Scientific. This is a company that has it all: bankruptcy, billion-dollar accounting quirks, and a huge pivot right into the center of the AI gold rush.
All right, let's just jump right into the big puzzle here, because on the surface, this story makes absolutely no sense. You've got a company fresh out of bankruptcy, posting these massive, scary-looking losses, and yet the stock's been on a tear. So what in the world is going on? That is the contradiction we're going to unravel today.
So first, let's look at the numbers that are freaking everybody out. In the second quarter of 2025, CORZ Scientific reported a net loss of almost $1 billion. I mean, a number that big would usually have investors heading for the hills, no questions asked.
And it doesn't stop there. In that very same quarter, the revenue didn't just stumble, it totally cratered, dropping over 44% from the year before. So let's recap. Gigantic losses and revenue that's falling off a cliff. It really does look like a classic death spiral.
But here is the thing that makes you scratch your head. Despite these awful-looking numbers, the market has been bidding the stock up. This isn't just a little confusing, it's a giant red flag that the headline numbers are telling you the wrong story, a completely wrong story.
So, let's be detectives here. Let's solve this mystery. To find the real story, we have to peel back the layers and look deep inside the company's accounting.
And here it is. This is the smoking gun. That nearly billion-dollar loss, it wasn't real. It wasn't cash that went out the door. It was an accounting entry. See, the company has things like stock warrants, and according to accounting rules, when the company's stock price goes up, the value of those liabilities also goes up. So crazily enough, the better the stock performs, the bigger the paper loss the company has to report. It's basically an accounting illusion.
So let's move on, because once you clear away all that accounting noise, you realize something fundamental. CORZ Scientific isn't really one company at all. It's two totally different businesses sharing the same building.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got the old business, a high-cost Bitcoin mining operation that's really struggling. It's the past. But on the other side, you have the future, a brand new, booming business that provides the critical infrastructure for AI companies. And that business is growing like a weed. The old is just masking the new.
And the numbers, well, the numbers back this story up completely. You can see it right here in the third quarter data. Self-mining revenue, down. Hosted mining, down almost 50%. But then you look at AI collocation, boom, up over 45%. That is the growth engine that the smart money is starting to notice.
But believe it or not, the story gets even better. Because the real golden ticket here isn't even that fast-growing AI business. The company's most important asset is completely invisible. You can't even find it on their balance sheet.
And that asset is power. Pure and simple. CORZ Scientific controls 1.2 gigawatts of power that is already contracted and, crucially, already connected to the grid. In a world that is starving for energy to fuel the AI boom, this is like sitting on a gold mine of electricity. It's an incredibly scarce and valuable resource.
And here's why that is such a big deal. The biggest problem for AI companies today isn't getting enough chips. It's getting enough power to run those chips. If you want to build a new data center today, you could be waiting 4, maybe even 5 years just to get plugged into the grid. CORZ Scientific already has the plug.
And this chart right here, this is the whole game. This is the AI power arbitrage. The market says 1 megawatt of power used for Bitcoin mining is worth about $4.5 million. But that same exact megawatt, if you use it for AI, it's worth $9 million, maybe even more. The entire strategy is to pivot their power from the low-value use to the high-value use, basically doubling its value overnight. So all of this hidden value didn't stay hidden for long. It actually led to this huge, dramatic showdown when a major AI player tried to just buy the whole company outright.
So here's how it all went down. The AI infrastructure giant Coreweave comes in with this massive $9 billion offer to buy CORZ Scientific. But then, plot twist, an activist investor called 2C's Capital jumps in and launches a public campaign saying, no way, this company is worth way more on its own. And in the end, the shareholders actually agreed with them and voted the deal down.
And the activist argument was just so simple and powerful. They basically said, why on earth would we sell this company for cheap right on the verge of its biggest opportunity ever? They were convinced that $9 billion dramatically undervalued where this company was headed in the AI boom.
Now this is the part you really have to understand. The fact that the merger failed was maybe the most bullish thing that could have happened.
A whole group of informed investors looked at all the data and publicly declared that this company is worth more than $9 billion. So that rejected offer, it's not a ceiling anymore, it's a floor.
Okay, so they said no to $9 billion. Now what? How do they actually go it alone and unlock all that value we've been talking about?
And here's the best part. It's pretty ironic. The very company that tried to buy them, Coreweave, is now the key to making their standalone plan work. Coreweave is staying on as the main customer for about 500 megawatts of power, and they're paying for most of the upgrades. So CORZ Scientific gets guaranteed revenue and a funded growth plan with a lot less of the risk.
But look, let's be real, this is not a guaranteed slam dunk. There are serious risks here you have to watch. They still have to pull off this massive construction project on a very tight timeline. They're also super dependent on that one big customer, Coreweave, and all the while, that old Bitcoin business is still burning through cash in the background.
But on the flip side, for every risk, there's a huge potential reward. And there's some big catalysts coming up that you'll want to keep an eye on. The next earnings report will be the first clean look at the new strategy. If they announce just one more major AI customer, that would be a game changer. And of course, actually hitting that 500 megawatt goal in 2026 would prove the whole thesis right. Which really brings us to the final defining question for this company. Is CORZ Scientific just the last dinosaur of a dying industry, a struggling Bitcoin miner? Or is it using its one incredible asset, all that power, to become one of the first true power barons of the new AI era? Right now, the market is betting big on the power baron.